Welcome to this lesson on understanding business risk. In this lesson we discuss the concept of business risk and the importance of developing a process of identify and manage business risk. Let's get started. Risk is unavoidable. Like the proverbial death and taxes, it's one of the few things in life that's inevitable. All businesses, whatever their size and shape, whatever markets they operate in and whatever products or services they provide, are constantly faced with a multitude of risks, large and small. Indeed, businesses can only prosper by successful risk-taking. In our own businesses we need to strike the correct balance between risk and potential reward, that is, to maximize our upside risk and minimize our downside risk to create value. To succeed we need to manage risk appropriately, not to try to eliminate or avoid it. It's therefore essential that we understand the major risks to our business operations, to enable us to manage them to our advantage. Some risks are minor and of little importance, whereas others have the potential to seriously affect our business's continued well-being. So it's important to understand the likelihood and the potential consequences of our own particular risks, and to take sensible, cost-effective mitigation measures for the more significant ones. There are many benefits to managing our risks effectively, including informed decision-making, building a more resilient business, an increased likelihood of successful risk-taking, or capitalizing on opportunities, protection of valuable assets, protection of reputation or goodwill, improved product or service quality and reliability, less likelihood of failures and downtime, and finally, protection of revenue, profits or market share. Many risks are seen as having purely negative consequences, and for this reason it's not uncommon for those involved in risk management to take a pessimistic view of risk. But we shouldn't forget that many risks also have positive consequences. Effective risk management can help us to reduce the negative and increase the positive consequences of risk, thus helping our business to grow and flourish. Risk management has a part to play in your decision-making, whether it's with regard to business startup, strategy, exploiting opportunities, managing your various projects or in your day-to-day business operations. Risk management can help you to justify your decisions to your management team, your employees, your business partners, investors, creditors or customers. And it should mean that you go into things with your eyes open, that you make informed decisions, rather than just acting on gut feel or on a hunch. And what are the main sources of risk? Risks come about when the vulnerabilities in our systems, processes, facilities or resources are exploited by threats. Examples might include the burglar or hacker, who exploits the vulnerabilities in our physical or IT security system, or a fire that starts due to an electrical fault, and spreads because of weaknesses in our fire detection and suppression systems, or errors made by inexperienced or insufficiently trained staff, or a whole host of other things. Risks can also arise as a result of our own business's activities, or as a result of external factors such as legislation, market forces, interest or exchange rate fluctuations, the activities of others, or even the weather. Risks can also be a product of the business environment, the natural environment, the political or economic situations, or human inadequacies, failings or errors. We might be tempted to think that risks like those above will never happen to us, particularly if we're one of the fortunate few who have never experienced anything particularly bad or disruptive in our business. We may feel that the likelihood of us suffering from events like these is just too low to worry about, that the odds are stacked in our favor. The thing about unexpected events is that, by definition, they're unexpected. The reality is that only we, as business managers, can decide whether a particular risk is acceptable to our business. Sadly, things do go horribly wrong from time to time. And the reality is that bad things don't just happen to other people. History is littered with the casualties, large and small businesses alike, of events that they thought couldn't possibly happen to them. In reality, almost every business is likely to suffer some sort of disruptive or damaging event or situation during its lifetime. And whilst the consequences of many of these events will, though painful, be manageable or at least survivable, for the unlucky or unprepared, some of them will have the potential to seriously damage the business. These more serious events will range from the headline-grabbing fires, floods and explosions, through product and environmental contamination, fraud and theft, to the less newsworthy, but equally debilitating power or technology failures, and supply chain or cash flow problems. Clearly we normally have little or no influence over natural events, the political or economic situation, or the legal or regulatory environment, and can only really take steps to mitigate their effects. For instance, we can't prevent severe weather from happening, although we can choose not to locate our business facilities in a floodplain. However, in many cases, it is possible to do something to prevent or reduce the likelihood of the man-made risks occurring in the first place. Investing some time and effort in managing our risks is a worthwhile investment, and makes good business sense. Ultimately, effective risk management could be the difference between the survival and failure of the business. The good news is that every one of us is an intuitive risk manager. Being in business may be risky, but life is a risky business, and we're constantly faced with countless risks that we have to assess and make decisions about. Most of the time we don't even realize we're doing it, we just do it naturally. When we evaluate risks to our business, we need to have a clear and reasoned method of doing so. We may have to justify our thinking to others. We may need to persuade others to do something as a result. Perhaps more importantly, the potential downside, if we get it wrong, may be extremely serious, for ourselves, for our employees, for our customers, or for our business as a whole. Almost every business opportunity has a potential downside. But some of the risks that we take also have a potential upside, that's why we take them. We need to balance the opportunities, to make a profit, grow the business, move into new markets, launch new products and services, etc. Against the potential downside, such as overcommitment, the impact of interest or exchange rate fluctuations, inability to sell our wonderful product or service, inability to pay our staff, and so on. This is also known as the organization's risk appetite, which we look at later in the course. It's not possible to create a completely risk-free environment. But what we can do is manage risk more effectively. We can identify risks, quantify them, and once we understand what we're up against, we can make informed, considered decisions regarding what to do about them. Risk management can be used to ensure the safety and well-being of employees, visitors, customers, etc. Make your business more resilient. Increase the likelihood of successfully exploiting opportunities. Perform what-if assessments. Ensure legal or regulatory compliance. Protect your cash flow. Increase the likelihood of success in your projects. Support requests for action or expenditure. And improve operational processes and reduce failures and problems. Risks are divided into categories, or risk types, based on their character, and on the activities of the company they can affect. Many risks belong to more than one category. Categorization makes it easier to identify hazards and manage risks. Some typical risk types are listed below. Human resource risks. Environmental risks. Product liability risks. Accounting and cash flow risks. Operational liability risks. Market risks, etc. We will look these types of risks as we work through this course. Risk management strives to ensure the continuity of a business and the well-being of its employees. Risk management covers all actions that aim to reduce the adverse effects of risk on a company. Risk management strives to ensure the continuity of a business and the well-being of its employees. Risk management covers all actions that aim to reduce the adverse effects of risk on a company. This diagram illustrates the standard risk management process. Let's look briefly at each step. Stage 1. Risk identification. Before we can take any meaningful action to address our risks, we need to know what we're up against. So we need to identify the risks that we face. More information on risk identification can be found in Unit 3. Stage 2. Risk assessment. Once we've identified our risks, we need to quantify them. Because the risks that we're really interested in are those we consider being significant enough to do something about. So we need a way to sort the wheat from the chaff. We do this by assessing the likelihood of the risk occurring, and the impact if we does. We will examine the tools used in risk assessment in Unit 4. The next stage is risk treatment. Once we know which risks are the most serious, we can start to deal with them, by identifying and implementing possible countermeasures or mitigation measures, that is methods of removing, reducing, controlling or recovering from adverse events. Units 5 through 9 contain information relating to risk response options for different types of risks. Having determined which countermeasures we feel are sensible and cost-effective, and decided which ones we want to invest in, we can go ahead and implement them. We discuss this in Unit 10. And the fourth stage is risk control or risk monitoring and review. To complete the process, we must monitor the effectiveness, or otherwise, of the controls we put in place. As we can see, risks are inevitable in any business and work environment. Managers and individuals balance risk with reward on a daily basis, and make decisions based on informed evaluation of risks. However, business failures, and accidents and incidents at work, are all the result of events or circumstances which could have been predicted, and may have been prevented. Risk management is the process by which managers at all levels of an organization identify, assess, treat and control risks. In the next 2 units, we will look at stages 1 and 2 of the risk management process, and then at different types of risks, including personnel, commercial and economic risks, operational risks, legislative and compliance risks, property and interruptions risks. There are a number of activities to complete for this unit. Take the time to complete these in your manual. In this way, you will better learn from and retain the knowledge covered in this unit. Thank you for watching this lesson. We hope you have found it useful. Visit our website to view our range of courses on operations and quality management.